Just to recap, last chapter we checked how to create your first mini workflow and gather the news from Hacker News. In this, we are going to create this workflow. Do not get don't worry, it's a simple workflow. I promise you, it's using bunch of components, HTTP request nodes, code node. So don't worry, I'm going to go through each and everything and explain it. But before that, let's try to understand what is the use case, what is the problem that we are going to try and solve in this workflow. So we are at chapter 3, automating a real world use case. And this is the story. You can read through it. It's a very simple story, but I'm going to try and make it entertaining. Meet my friend Nathan. He is analyst manager in ABC Corporation, and he is generating some reports which are mundane, humanly, mind-numbingly boring and time-consuming. He has to generate 2 reports. One is for his production, like he has to basically sum up all the productions that has happened from a company data warehouse. And second report he needs to create is an Excel spreadsheet which is on the ongoing sales, which he has to send it to the sales manager for review so that they can do some follow-ups. And the data is in the company's warehouse. It does not have the ability to export as CSVs or Excel, so we cannot take that. However, recently the company has added some APIs. API is nothing but how one software talks to another. It's called as application programming interface. And it's basically the way I'm talking to you guys, right? One person talks to another person and we get the response. It's exactly the same API. We'll go into the depth later on. However, it's an API request. n8n can use an HTTP node, create an API request, basically just asking for from the company data warehouse, give me this data, then we are going to do a bunch of calculations using code node and all. However, Nathan, our friend, does not know this. So Nathan is talking about this, he's very bored, and that's where I come in. I said, listen, this is a very simple problem and we can use n8n automation to fix this. I help him create a very simple workflow, the one which you saw before, or I'm going to show it to you. If you haven't, we're going to create it and give it to Nathan. After that, Nathan is going to use that workflow. He's going to use that to send out a message to Discord channel, which is company's Discord, and we are going to send out an Excel sheet to the sales manager. And at the end of this session, Nathan is going to be very happy because everything is automated, and that's our goal. I hope you like it. Let's jump into it. So with that said, let's get building. This is the scenario, designing the workflow. Now it's pretty simple. n8n has made it very easy. We can literally copy paste this. Go over here. If you don't know how to create the workflow, once again, you can come over here and press create workflow. It will do the same thing. Once you're here, you can just paste and you got the entire workflow. But copy pasting other stuff, you will not understand. You'll not learn anything, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go stepwise, just the way n8n wants us to do this. So start building. We're going to start building. First thing, we are going to use their code just, but we'll go step by step. So copy this, go over here, paste it in your first workflow, and let's break it down. How did we get this? Okay, so if you see, this is nothing but an execute trigger. How do you get it? Over here, add another trigger. You cannot add 2, so I'm just going to delete this and show it to you. Add another trigger manually. So this is the trigger that we have added. And second is the HTTP node. This is one of the most important nodes in n8n. We'll be using it for advanced workflows as well in the future tutorials. But for now, let's see what it is doing. The way you get it is, again, the same thing. If I want to add another, I can say search HTTP and you'll get this node. So by default, you'll get this window. In this, you have a bunch of methods. What are methods? If you click over here to the docs, you'll go to the docs and you'll see a bunch of request modes. I don't want to, it's a basics tutorial, so we're not going to go in depth. However, two most used methods are get and post. Get is when you have to send an API request to fetch some data from a software which has an API endpoint exposed. So, and post is when you have to post something, right? In our case, I'm going to delete this for now. We're going to use the request that has been given to us. And let's go one by one. So the method we are using is get. It means that we are going to get some data. What we are going to do, this is an ERP system which is internal to users at n8n Cloud. So it's a custom webhook, custom ERP, and we are going to fetch data from here. That Nathan's use case, his company's warehouse, this is the company's warehouse. That's where all the data is. And it was a legacy system. It cannot export it in CSV, but we can use an API, which is a get API, to get the data. All right. Now, every company, they're going to have some kind of authentication in order to get that data. Even with this webhook URL, even with this URL, we need some kind of credentials. So we're going to credentials, we're going to create credentials. The two things which we need over here are the API credentials. The email that we got, we're going to create a credential. Let's name it API key. The second thing which we need is the auth value, header auth value. Make sure you don't copy any spaces. I think I got a space in there. Perfect. Let's go over here and save it. So that's how you create your credentials. I'm not going to save it. If you see right now, we have a header auth credential created over here, and that's what we're going to use. Let's see, let's go back to the docs. Create a new workflow, add HTTP. It's a generic content, generic credential type, header auth. There are different types of auth, basic, custom, header, OAuth 2. We are going to use generic. And there are predefined and generic credentials type. So I'll create another video which we will go in depth with HTTP request node. But for now, just bear with me. We need to send out some headers. Headers are nothing but a part of the request that we send out to the headers. So we are going to send out a unique ID. And what is the unique ID? Where are we going to get this? So this unique ID is this unique ID. Let's get this unique ID. All right. So now let's execute. Voila. You got your first data set. And this, close this out. This chapter exactly teaches us this to get the data. If you see 30 items, we got 30 items, and there are different ways to see this data. If you see this, you get one item at a time. Table, you see multiple rows over here. So second row, 11 to 20, third row, and then in the JSON format. So JSON, as we talked about, is a JavaScript object notation. And in this is one object, one row, basically this data. And if you compare this with this, let's go to the first record. This is exactly what it is. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So let's come over here, columns. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And the data for the first order ID, customer ID is 8. For the first order ID, the customer ID is 8. And that's how the data is laid out. So JSON is how we are going to manipulate the data most of the times in n8n. That's why it is very important to understand JSON structure. This is a key, this is a value. So any JSON structure, it's a key value pair. And multiple entries are separated by commas. So there are multiple data types as well. Again, I'm going to create another tutorial for JSON, one for webhooks and one for HTTP requests. These are the three most, and fourth as the code node. These are really important nodes in n8n that we need to understand. So I'll create another separate videos for that. For now, just understand it's a key value. Key is already, value is 1. Key is nothing but the column name, and value is the value inside that key. So we got our data, and that was the first step. Let's head back to our documentation and see what's next. What's next? Nathan is like, hey, this is great. You already automated an important part of my job. So instead of manually accessing the data every time he needs it, we are using a HTTP request node, and that part is automated now, right? So now in the next step, we'll see how to insert this data into an Excel sheet or an Airtable. So let's see how to do that.